Hey everyone, we're just back from Oshkosh. Well, it's actually been about a month now since we've been back, so I'm catching up on some of my videos. Building is still the priority, so the videos seem to be getting longer and longer. But all the videos for right now are pre-Oshkosh. I'm working on getting just everything kind of tidied up inside the center fuselage here because I'm getting ready to close it up, and I wanted to get as much done as I could before I put the side skins on. As once those are done, then all the work will be reaching down and in versus working on it from the side. So I'm working on running a couple of the scat tubes there for the heat. I'm going to try to do it inside versus the side panels. This is just my cell phone, it's where I've got the ELT located, where the expected run is going to be for the right side scat tube there. Just kind of one last video here before I start putting the side skins on. And everything seems like it's in a good spot. Some of this process is about putting it in place and moving forward, and then figuring out, oh, that's not going to work, and then having to back it out and kind of rework things. And wanted to get one last video where I could see in from the sides pretty well here. So got to clean that up a little bit. That's where the elevator autopilot is at, and I haven't tied any of those zip ties down because I know that I've got some more work to do in those areas, but it's just getting the wiring under control. And I do have a couple of plates that I need to put in some of the equipment there. So with that done, Lori helped me get the initial side skin on. Everything's all prepped for it, and this is the last time that I'm getting it all put on. It's the skin's kind of long and wobbly, so it's a lot easier to have somebody help hold it in place, and we can get the holes lined up. It's just a different angle of the same video. I started at the fuselage root there where the rear fuselage meets, and got that squared up, and then started working my way forward because I figured the squareness, if that's a word, is going to be best based off of the rear fuselage, and then work my way forward. And it's not so much getting the long portions together, but hitting the structural points first, and then there's a lot of little. They're not really longerons. They're more just ribs that go into the skin, and they just kind of piece together. So as I'm grabbing those, I'm putting them in. My father-in-law came over and helped with taking some clecos out, and he was passing me rivets when that made sense, and just working on getting those all together. He's getting some clecos out. So this wasn't the first time that I'd put it on, but it's definitely the last time that I put it on to completion like this. And it went really well, I think. Basically, I worked around the wing root, which is the piece down at the bottom, because there's some extra rivets or some different rivets that go into that, and I wanted to make sure everything else lined up. Got around over to the right-hand side and started getting that together, and then finished off the rest here on the left-hand side. So it's kind of coming along here. It's interesting. Oh, and then the thing that was really interesting here is I wildly ran out of rivets on doing these wing roots super early. It wasn't even close. And I don't know if it's just that I couldn't find the rivets. I've got everything up on the walls, and I spent a fair amount of time looking for them. But basically, those wing root structural pieces there, I got as far as I could, and then had to reach out to the airplane factory so that they could send me some more rivets over. It didn't take long. It's an interesting process because I do a lot of my work on the evenings and weekends, but primarily the weekends. So when I find that I'm running short, shoot a quick email, and then by the following Friday I've got it in. Since we've got the side skins on, it's time to start working on the firewall itself, because this is the last piece that I need in place in order to have some structural rigidity on the forward portion of the airplane here. And my father-in-law is getting the protective plastic layer off, and then doing a quick cleaning on that to make sure that that's all good. And then getting the fire retardant or the fire reflection material kind of cut out and ready to go in place. You got to do this before you mount it on, or well, you don't have to do it before you mount it on, but I just find it's easier to work on a surface like this. But you can't attach it until after you mount it, because there's a bunch of rivet holes that need to get filled. And then I also had to dimple the spacers that go in between the skin and the firewall, because there is a series of dimples that the firewall has to have as well, because they're going to be the recessed rivets. And then we went ahead and riveted the top portion of the firewall together. Right here, it's just actually with setting in place because it's a really super tight fit. And then I got the extra spacer in there, and once that was done, then fit the firewall into place. And just the firewall, I mean, it's a super snug fit. It's not even like there's no play at all, and I mean that's to be expected. But you really had to kind of work at it to get everything to line up just right. And I mean, the nice part is when it fits, it kind of snugs right into place. So it's not a terribly difficult process. You just have to really make sure you pay attention to getting all the holes all lined up exactly the way they need to be. And then once that's done, it's just a matter of going back through and pulling the rivets to get those in place. So yeah. Anyway, amazingly, we're ready to start working on the landing gear at this stage. Because for right now, the intent was to get the airplane on the mains and the landing gear itself, so that I could start moving it around the garage a little bit easier. I've set aside everything that I need to complete inside the fuselage itself, because the priority really is to get the airplane so that I can move it around. So that's why the firewall went on. You can see the engine mount on the bench here. I've got the landing gear actually out, and then I'm starting to mess with the Behringer wheels. And I was just, the one thing that's interesting is I seem to put stuff together, take it apart, kind of look at, or put stuff together, take a look at it, see how it's going together. And I've probably, over the course of the time of the airplane, put the airplane together and taken it apart, 2 or 3 times per piece, just to kind of make sure that, it all looks right. And I was starting to worry about, or not worry, but do some dry fitting or test fitting on the landing gear itself, and came back around and finished up the actual engine mount portion of the nose here. So yeah, it's it was moving right along at this stage of the game. I'm also finding that there's some times where it's like I'm a little bit worried about the next phase, because it's a completely new section of the build. And I sit and look at it and think about it for a while, and then it's just time to go. So the only option you have at that point is just to move forward. I did a quick test fit of the engine mount here, just to make sure that everything was okay, and that went on just fine. And then got the fire reflection material up and in place, and went ahead and got some extra pieces and so trimmed and put it in there. I've been watching some other builds, and noticed that they put it actually on both sides of the firewall, so I've got some extra. I'll go ahead and do that as well, just to add another layer of protection. Given that I've got the firewall on, the skins are on the side, everything's all good to go. Now it's time to take actually the first piece or support piece underneath the fuselage off. It's still sitting on the sawhorses, but there was no real reason to keep that front piece in place. So Anyway, thanks for watching, and if you have any questions, let me know in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks.